A warm welcome to this session of today. Good morning, children. How are you? Doing fine? Yes. Right. Your midterm test is nearing and you are preparing. And prepare your lessons well, children, because nobody dreamt that the last year's 10th mark and the 11th mark will be taken into consideration for this present that just passed away, just passed from this children, that 12 standard students. Nobody dreamt of it. But you know what has happened? That mark is taken into consideration. And finally, the government said, if you are not satisfied with it, you write everything once more. No problem. Who will go forward to write that? More, sometimes, who is aspiring for high aims, maybe. That too, when they are asked to write the whole thing, they won't be very much happy about it. Right. So, when you are asked to write the test, take it seriously and do it. Sometimes that may be taken into consideration. Right. And not only English I'm speaking, prepare all the lessons, all the subjects. Concentrate on all the subjects. Okay. English and Tamil, I know that you will just read once and you will write well. But the other subjects you just concentrate with some attention. Right. Now we will come to this In Celebration of Being Alive by Dr. Christian Barnard. See, I told you pleasure and pain are the parts of our life. It is there. Can you tell a person who could say that I have no problems in my life? I have not faced any difficulty in my life. Can you tell? No. It is part of our life. But what we have to do is we have to forget the suffering and try to find joy in the present state of freedom that you are getting. And see, when you undergo some sufferings and pain, we learn a lot of things. At that time, you will think, oh, why God has punished me like this? Why I am facing this difficulty in my life? But in your later life, you could find out that that has happened for your good only. Right? You are learning so many things from the failures that you are undergoing. And always we like to lead a very cheerful, happy, contented life. This Bernard, very often he was thinking of his suffering and pain. But we have to get on with the business of our living. We have to get on with our business of living. Living each and every day, you celebrate it. Celebrate that day. Maybe some pitfalls are here and there, but be an optimist and see the better side of your life and be happy. Find joy in the real sense of the word. The business of living is the celebration of living, right? Now we will come back to the lesson. I will tell you the gist of it. After that, we will read that lesson and in the necessary places, I will give explanation also. Right. Now, see, as I told earlier, this Dr. Bernard is a South African surgeon and he is a writer also. Right? Here, in this essay, In Celebration of Being Alive, he ruminates on why people suffer. Why people suffer. One day, after having a great meal, delicious food from a hotel. He and his wife was crossing a road. As they were crossing the road, all on a sudden, a car dashed against him and knocked him down, and his wife too. She was thrown to the other side of the road and hit by a car from the opposite direction. Bernard suffered from 11 broken ribs. RIBS. 11 broken ribs and perforated lung. He has some problem in his lungs also. His wife had a fractured shoulder. Her shoulder is fractured. As he was admitted in the hospital, he was just thinking, why? Very happily, I had my food. I never even dreamt that this will happen within 5 or 10 minutes. I was happily sitting in the hotel and eating with my wife. We were appreciating the food, talking so many things. But within this 20 minutes of time, see how my life has changed. Now I'm in the hospital. My wife is somewhere else. He could not talk to her. I do not know what has happened to her. People are saying that she is hospitalized, but I was not aware of it. I could not inquire it. I myself is hospitalized. So he reflects on, as he was thinking like this, he thought of his father. His father, even whenever there is suffering, just like pastors or people who have some faith, his father used to say, suffering is God's way of testing and refining, purifying, and enabling us to become better persons. This is what Bernard's father used to say. But he is not of that opinion. His question is why people suffer. What is the reason behind? Small children, when they are born itself, they have some deformities in their body. What is the reason for it? What does the child does in its life? But it is suffering, right? So his father used to say, suffering is God's way of testing and refining, purifying, and enabling us to become better persons. But I did not see anything noble in suffering. My father used to say that and comfort himself, console himself. But I did not see anything noble in my father's words. A patient suffering in pain and a child crying, wailing, since it has become an orphan. Some deformities in their body, some ailments. He was the last one of his brothers, and his father also died because of some heart problem. He found the suffering of the children a pathetic one. I told you his brother Abraham died. So he is disturbed in his mind because of the death of his brother. Children or the patients implicitly believes in the doctors. They trust the doctors and the nurses also. They believe that they could help them. They are just like God. So people used to say, oh, that doctor is like God, he has saved my son. The belief that people had towards the doctor. They'll be just folding their hands and say, thank you, doctor. You have saved my life. You have saved my life. But the doctor will say that in that board outside that, see, we treat the patient, but God cures. But the patient says, you have given life to myself, my wife, my children, something like that, right? So blindly they believe the doctor and nurses, even if they can't help, even if they cannot save that patient. The people, the neighbors, the relations say that it is our fate. They accept it as their fate, right? When our relations or when our friends or our brothers or sisters feel sick, we will take them to the hospital. But if something negatively happened, what will say? It is the fate. Doctor tried his best, but it is the fate that he passed. This is what people used to say. This also has a something for Bernard to think. Why, why, why it is happening? One day, as he was thinking like this, see, he must know that he's a very good scholar, well educated person, doctorate in medicine, and his problem is to find out an answer for why people suffer. He is the one who made a milestone in the medical field. Heart transplanting surgery he has done. Successfully, he has made a patient to live for weeks, few weeks. But now his problem is he has to find out an answer for why people suffer. What is the reason for the suffering of human beings? One day, a life changing event happened in his life. This incident, which happened in the hospital, totally changed his attitude towards life. Right? I told you, everybody faces problems in our life. I told you in the previous classes. But the way we take the problem is the one which determines the state of mind. Right? I told you with an example of three children, right, failing in the plus two examination and their attitude, how they took the problem, how they handled the problem, changes their life, right? And this life changing event brought an awareness to Dr. Bernard of the suffering of little children in this world, right? That what has brought a change in him is given in this lesson, right? Several years ago, Dr. Bernard witnessed an incident at Cape Town's hospital, Red Cross Children's Hospital. Cape Town Red Cross Children's Hospital, he witnessed one thing. That event made him realize that he was missing something in all his thinking about suffering. So that incident totally changed his attitude, totally changed his attitude towards life. Had he has given him an answer for the question that he has so far in his life, right? See, I told you that you must thank God for all the things that is given to you. You may say that what I have got to thank God. See, I'm suffering like anything. No home, no financial support. See my friend, see my neighbor, how well they are enjoying life. This is what we have often thinking of in our life. But you must do one thing. God has provided with a home. Maybe it may not be a very good bungalow. At least maybe a very small hut. Just imagine it is a hut. But think of the people who have no home at all and lying on the street at night during heavy rain, where they will get accommodation. think of them, how God has blessed you. See, if you think that, oh, I have no home, no home, no home, no home, attitude is something different. Think of the people. At least God has given me this home to live in. He has blessed me with a very good father and mother. Maybe a father will be a drunkard. Your mother, she also always very harsh towards you. Maybe for your good. No mother will be harsh towards the child. Just to make you good, they may sometimes be harsh towards you. Why this mother is irritating me like anything? But think of the children who are living in this world without parents. And be happy about what God has blessed you with. Hope you understand, children. Right. So, that particular event which happened in that Cape Town's Red Cross Hospital totally changed his life. Something in all the thinking, his thought about the suffering also is changed. One day, no, Bernard witnessed what he called a Grand Prix. Uses the term Grand Prix. Two boys, one is a driver and the other is a mechanic. Two small boys, they drive the hospital's breakfast trolley. One day, in that particular hospital, he witnessed two young children, small children. One was acting as a driver, the other was a mechanic, and they were driving the breakfast trolley. And the person who said that I'm a mechanic, he is totally blind. He provided motor power and the driver steered with one arm. So the person who says that he's a driver, that small boy, is has no one arm. He has only one hand. Understand, children? So one day, this Bernard witnessed two children. One is totally blind. The other one has no arms. And they were acting as mechanic and driver of a breakfast trolley of the hospital. And the other patients, when they saw these two children's action, they also joined with them and they have very good fun there. The age of that mechanic is 7 years. And he became blind. This mechanic is a blind person, I said. 7-year-old child. He became blind. How by birth he was normal, quite normal, like you and me. But when he grew up, he became blind. The reason behind his blindness is one day his father and mother at night they had a fight at home. His father is a drunkard, maybe mother is also a drunkard. And the mother, while she was quarreling with her husband, she could not withstand after a few words. So what will you do? When you get very angry, when you cannot control it, you will take something and throw it, right? Just to get rid of that emotion. So similarly, this lady, she took a lantern. Lantern, you know what it is? Vilakku, we will say. Especially that Manannai Vilakku. Right. So that lantern and threw it on her husband. As she was throwing, it missed the mark and fell on this poor boy's body. See, lantern filled with kerosene. When it is thrown, there will be leakage of that kerosene. So automatically it started to burn. And in that burning. His eyes became blind. His face became disfigured. Was totally disfigured. And now he's acting as a mechanic. Very happy he is. Right? And suffered severe wounds in his body, burns in his body. On the upper part of the body, there are severe wounds. He lost his eyes completely. And the driver, I said, he has no arms, only one arm he had, one hand. He had a heart surgery just a few years before in this Dr. Bernard's hospital under his custody. Again, he has come back to that hospital because he has some tumor in his bone, malignant tumor of the bone. Now he has some other problem. Already one arm is just removed. Now he has some other problem, tumor of the bone. So I told you he uses the word Grand Prix. Actually, Grand Prix is an international car race, right? And he say here just made that action which is done by these two people, that pulling that trolley to the Grand Prix, that international car race, right? So this incident totally changed his life. He thought, so far he was thinking, why I suffer? I had my lunch from the hotel with my wife, but the next moment I am in the hospital. What is the reason for it? People are suffering. What is the reason for it? But now he has got an answer for it. Right? Two children who has no eyes, disfigured face, is feeling satisfied. He is celebrating life. He is happy that he is alive. A person who has no arms and now he has some malignant tumor of the bone, but he is very active, very happy. And he also participated in the Grand Prix. Compared to them, now, though he is an educated, highly educated person, our Dr. Bernard now realizes the truth. He learned a lesson from that two small children who were admitted in the hospital. Right? Don't think that I know everything. I'm an educated person. My parents are not like that. My neighbor, he doesn't know anything. He does not know read and write. See, this great scholar who has got a PhD in medicine, he has learned a lesson from these two 7-year-old children that I have to celebrate life. I have to celebrate that living. I have to celebrate the days that God has bestowed upon me. Bless me with this lesson Dr. Bernard learned from this two children. Now, what they have done, what they are doing in that hospital is, one day, a nurse in the hospital had left a trolley, breakfast trolley, unattended. It was there in the veranda, corridor of the hospital. This trolley was commanded by an underpaid driver and a mechanic, these two boys. The mechanic provided motor power behind the trolley with his head down. With his head down, he pushed that trolley. He gave his motor power to the trolley. The driver seated and steered with one hand. He was scraping his foot on the floor. The mechanic was totally blind and the driver had only one arm. As I told you. The rest of the patients all encouraged these two people. They were laughing and shouting by seeing the action, by observing this, watching these two children who participated in the Grand Prix. It was a better entertainment than an race. Plates, cups, and saucers of that breakfast rally were thrown all around. And thus, the grand final of the Grand Prix came to an end. Now, these two children taught Bernard a great, profound lesson that the business of living is in the celebration of being alive. So, thank God that He has given you life. Yesterday, so many people were living with us in this world. Today morning, few of them are not there. See, this pandemic disease, corona, has taken so many lives of people. Very sad we are. See, in our area, in one family, that father and mother is no more. They have become old and passed away. Four people from one family, four brothers, they passed away. They died because of corona. Within 1 or 2 weeks, within 1 or 2 weeks' time, four people passed away. So many people who are dear to us, who are near to us, is no. Nobody is there to take care of them. Nobody to take them to the hospital. Nobody is there to bury their dead bodies. Very pathetic situation, pitiable situation we faced in our life. But still we are living. God has given you life. Celebrate it. Thank God that at least you have life in this world. This attitude Bernard has got after witnessing the Grand Prix of these two children who were admitted in the hospital for some problems of their own, for their sickness. They taught him a profound lesson that the business of living is in the celebration of being alive and not just something for pleasure, amusement, and recreation. This is the lesson that Dr. Bernard learned from these two children. So they made it clear that being alive is more important than suffering they are experiencing. Being alive is more important than this blind eyes and amputated arm. This realization is given to our Dr. Bernard by these two small children. Okay, children, the remaining we will see in the next class and we will proceed with the lesson. I will just very quickly, almost all the points I have given you in the gist. One quick reading will help you to understand the lesson. Okay, thank you for attending the class. So just have that exam in mind and act. Okay, children, see you.